Hi, my name's Phil and my UK ham radio call sign is M0AYB. This is a short video to show how you might fit an HF radio into a car for a temporary setup. It's not intended to be a mobile setup, but just using a temporary location, or perhaps you need to get away from your home QTH because of local interference, or perhaps you're generating interference. The reason I've produced it is because I couldn't find anything that describes anything of this basic level of simplicity, and you might find it useful or want to have a go. Perhaps I do need to point out that I can take no liability for you getting things right or wrong on this, so make sure you're happy with your electrical safety and installation safety, and I do emphasise this is not for mobile use. In other words, while you're driving up and down the road, it's a static temporary setup. Anyway, let's go. Let's have a look at the equipment here. I've got it in the boot of the car. As you can see, I've used an old laptop bag. An Icom 7000 is an ideal rig for this, with its standard microphone. In beside it, I've got a mag mount to put on the roof. Apart from that, I've got the vital thing here, which is a 2mm Allen key, a proper big one rather than a little one, which you're bound to lose. Very frustrating. A tape measure, because you need to measure the length of the antenna later on. And in the back here I've got the original manual, just to help find our way through the labyrinth of menus and button presses to make the Icom 7000 do everything you want. So that's the basic setup. We'll now look at putting it into the car. For the purpose of this demo, I've put the mag mount on the rear corner of the roof, just above one of the passenger doors, and taken the cable through the rubber seal just by closing the door on the seal at a soft point where neither the seal nor the cable will get damaged. Obviously it's easy to put the cable through an open door or through an open window, but if you're doing this in cold weather you might get fed up with that idea. Now I'm going to use two whip antennas for HF. The one on the right here is for 20 metre band, and you can see that the steel whip slides down through a shiny metal part at the top of the main lower section of the whip. The one on the left with the red tape on it is a different sort for 17 metres, and you can see here that the whip screws in like this, more or less. The advantage of this is that this screw-in sort, when you take it to pieces to move it, you keep the antenna whip length, whatever you set it at, which is useful to reassemble it on resonant point later on. But actually there's no real difference between using these two in practice. Here's the 20 metre antenna with the 2mm Allen key inserted, just to make the point that having a decent sized Allen key like this is really useful when you're out and about. It's very easy to lose the little ones that come with the antenna. The antenna should be provided with a little black mark on the upper stainless steel whip section, which shows when it's going to be more or less in tune. It's a good starting point, but it tends to wear off, so it's a good idea to measure the length of the upper whip to the nearest millimetre, actually, so that you can replicate it once you've tuned it to your preferred frequency. And there's the 20 metre antenna screwed into the mag mount, ready to go. You should see the lower black part and the upper shiny stainless steel whip, which is what's adjusted to get the right SWR at your frequency. Just a few comments on wiring up the radio for the car. You can see the top and the back of the Icom 7000 here. I found it useful to get a separate cable with the Icom connector already attached, quite cheap to buy, and it means you can leave the original cable at your home QTH and leave this one customized. I've got it through a connector into a standard 12 volt connector plug here. In the line, a couple of fuses. I've got these set at 10 amps, which I think is about the limit for a car socket, a 12 volt car socket. So running the rig at probably about half power, and we should be okay. This demo has been done at my home location, and you can see that although I'm actually pretty close to some buildings, the noise level here is running about S7, S8 with the preamp in, and dropping down to about 3, just 2 to 3 with the preamp out. Actually, this is enough to wipe out most weak signals, which is one reason for taking the rig somewhere else. Well, there are lots of reasons to use an Icom IC-7000 in a temporary setup like this. Clearly it's a very small rig, it covers lots of bands, it's got lots of features. One of its key attractions is its ability to sweep across the band to test the resonance of the antenna by looking at the SWR at various frequencies. You can do that from the rig itself. Alternatively, of course, you could use an SWR meter and just experiment that way till you've got the antenna the right length, or use an analyzer. But what I'm going to do here is show you how the rig can handle this task. The first thing to do is to bring up the SWR meter, so I hold this button, this menu group button, for a second. Let's do it until it holds. That's right. And in fact you can sweep through different meters here, but you want that meter showing by pressing the menu group button, and I've got it set here for 10 kHz steps, which is a useful sweep interval. Next thing to do is to press F1 until the little triangle there becomes filled in white. All that's needed to be done now is to press push to talk many times on the microphone quickly, like this. There we are, that's done it. And what we've seen there is that by the end of the band, the little green histogram at the bottom here starts to rise. It shows that the tuning of the antenna is actually pretty good, but the SWR is rising at the top end of the band. So that can easily be adjusted by going outside and changing the length of the antenna by undoing the little hex screws. A few millimeters at a time is all that's needed. If the SWR rises at the higher frequencies, the antenna's slightly too long and needs to be dropped. The whip needs to be shortened slightly, and the converse holds true at the other end of the band, of course. Short antenna, high frequencies. Just taking a look at the phone end of the band, the lower end of the phone band, just for some SSB stuff. Set the frequency there to 14122. Get the little triangle filled in, and you can see it's going to scan from 14.062 upwards with multiple clicks of the push to talk. There we go. That's done it, and you can see that at the central frequency the SWR is right at the bottom of the bar graph there, but it looks acceptable all the way from right down in the phone area, or correction, in the CW area, right across the top of the band. What this shows is that the bandwidth of this whip is tremendous. It covers really most of the 20 meter band from top to bottom at an SWR in the green band here, which I think is less than about 2. So in fact it shows that we have a good tune of the antenna. And for reference, the length of the whip I've got showing here is 1128 millimeters, 1128 millimeters for the 20 meter band. But it'll vary depending on where you put the antenna and what your setup is, of course. So that's the end of the demo. I hope you found something of interest. Leave comments if you've got anything to add, or you'd like to tell me something. That would be great. Just a reminder, keep the power down. This is a very simple setup. Don't drain your battery, don't blow your fuses, and enjoy your temporary mobile radio from your car. 73s.